Ugh. Hey everybody, how you doing? I'm just pumping some iron right now. Yeah. 25 pounds. Nobody on the face of the planet can lift that. Yeah. Okay, I'm just gonna set that down next to Barry there. Hey Barry, I just noticed you're not a vampire anymore. Huh. Today, we are going to be talking about a devil fruit that gives you super strength and all of the mysteries and wonders that lie within, such as it allowing you to pick up really, really heavy things. But wait, you don't understand. Really, really heavy things. Like the heaviest things. Well, okay, not that heavy, but like heavy things. And that's pretty much the video. Okay, all right, look. I don't know if we're going to be able to make the 20-minute mark with this one. Okay, but we're going to try. We're going to try. All right. Jesus Burgess. Oh, hey, look, we found Jesus. Jesus Burgess's Riki no Mi, the strong, strong fruit power. All right, so a little bit of setup here. Blackbeard's crew is going out there, and they are hunting very powerful devil fruit users, killing them, and then taking their powers for themselves. This is how Absalom met his end and how Shiryu now has the clear fruit power. We don't know the previous user of the Nine-Tailed Fox zone, but they were killed by Katarina Devon. Katarina Devon has a thing where in her bio it was mentioned she is basically a headhuntress, you know, for beautiful women. Anybody out there that she finds is beautiful, she will try to like kill and cut off their heads and use them as like trophies. Yeah, so she's like a messed up serial killer. Maybe the previous user of the Nine-Tailed Fox zone was somebody like that, like a beautiful woman out there in the world, and that's where she got the power. Now, Burgess is interesting. The initial fruit that he was having his eye on, that he was targeting, was the Mera no Mi, because when Burgess is at Dressrosa, disguised as Mr. Store, entering Corradia Coliseum's competition, he specifically mentions he's there for the Mera no Mi, and later on, when he's having a conversation with Blackbeard over a Den Mushi, Blackbeard specifically says that he sent Burgess there to get the power of the Mera no Mi, and then Blackbeard makes a little bit of a joke about how, hey, Ace, you know, I offered him to join my crew a while back and he declined, but now wouldn't it be crazy if one of my men ended up getting his power? And then Luffy, of course, was like, I'll never let you have the Mera no Mi, right? And of course, it was consumed by Sabo in the final round. However, Sabo did break the rules by pretending to be Lucy. So the rightful owner of the Mera no Mi, let's be straight up here, it's either Burgess, Bartolomeo, or Rebecca. I already made a video on what would have happened if Rebecca ate the devil fruit, but cheating is not allowed. The Mera no Mi should have went to somebody else. Anyway, it didn't happen, and if you just want a little bit more of confirmation that Burgess did not, in fact, have a devil fruit ability at that point, because I guess in some way you could spin it like, well, maybe Burgess didn't hunt the devil fruit specifically for himself. He was trying to get it for somebody else on the Blackbeard crew, but clearly that wasn't the case, and at the end of the competition, when Sabo uses his Dragon's Breath ability to destroy the arena, he specifically, Burgess, falls in the water, but he does not drown. He's, like, in the water, like, swimming around and stuff, and yeah, so he did not have a devil fruit ability during Dressrosa. After Dressrosa, he gets defeated by Sabo very briefly, quick fight there. Sabo at this point did have the Mera no Mi, plus he just had like stronger hockey than Burgess. And so then after that, he ends up on a revolutionary ship. He's at Baltigo. The Revolutionary Army apparently have, I think, like a brief scuffle with Blackbeard's crew, but they mostly managed to escape to Kamabaka before anything major came of it. At the end of this, though, Burgess does seem to have like a metal brace on his face, very similar to Spondum. So that's probably from the battle that he had with Sabo, or maybe something else involving the revolutionaries. But remember, Sabo did like grab Burgess's face and like crush him with the Dragon Claw technique. So it's probably why he has that face brace. And so the next time we see Burgess is after Wano at Wiener Island alongside Doc Q and Van Augur and Blackbeard himself, all fighting against the Heart Pirates. And it's at this point that it's revealed he has has a devil fruit power now, the Paramecia Riki Riki no Mi. And he demonstrates this power by lifting up an actual mountain in the shape of like a big wiener, because all the mountains were in the shape of wieners on that island. But yeah, he lifts up a whole damn mountain, throws it. Law just uses shambles and room. He like, cuts up the mountain so it doesn't crush anybody. But he was able to do that. So that's pretty impressive there. Absolutely. And of course, they're kind of going after devil fruit abilities that will cater to their own personalities. I'm not sure if Burgess wanted the Maramaranomi just because it sounded cool. I mean, Logias are probably in high demand. Now, it's very important to understand that Burgess did not have a devil fruit during the time of Dressrosa, because he is built like a brick shithouse, even without the strong fruit ability, which is why him having it is the levels of absurdity, like Zanwan Wolf, who was already a giant, eating the big fruit, making him even more giant. In fact, Burgess right now can probably just lift Zanwan Wolf with like one finger or something, right? So he was already strong. How strong was he? Well, pretty tough Mexican luchador kind of motif, as you can see, with the mask and all. One of his feats that I think is easily measurable is during the duel with Ace on Bonaro Island. So Ace is there to bring Blackbeard in, and before he really starts his fight with him, Augur just shoots Ace right in the face. He's a Logia, and I guess Augur didn't have hockey at that point, or no C-prism bullets or anything, so it doesn't affect Ace at all. And then Burgess immediately follows that up by picking up a whole damn hotel and chucking it at Ace. Ace, of course, just uses Flame Commandment to burn away the hotel. It was made primarily of wood, and Blackbeard tells his men to kind of like stand down. Augur, Burgess, you guys aren't even close to being next to his level. You gotta get back, right? Blackbeard is a man that cares about his men. So yeah, it was very clear there that they weren't going to be able to beat Ace, except Blackbeard had to use his Logie in order to do it. However, lifting up a whole damn old Western style hotel, because that was the basis of Bonaro Island. Everybody was wearing cowboy hats anyway. That's still an impressive feat. I mean, I don't know anybody that can do that. Do you know anybody that can lift up a whole damn hotel? I mean, like, I don't know. So you think about it, it's a 2-story hotel. We can see it right there, mainly made out of wood. There's probably a bunch of stuff inside of the hotel. I'm imagining the lobby has a bunch of chairs and tables, a full bar, a piano. Every Old West saloon hotel has to have a piano. A lot of beds, a lot of furniture in there, support beams and all that. I think there was a water tower on top of it. So I just, looked around to see how much that could possibly weigh. Somewhere between 150 to 250,000 pounds. I mean, maybe a little more than that, maybe a little less than that, but like the general ballpark of maybe like, let's say 200,000 pounds. Okay, let's just go with that. So yeah, pretty damn heavy. Also impressive that like he was able to go over to a hotel and, Burgess is a big guy, but like just to grab it and just and just like lift the whole damn thing out of its foundations in one go. You'd think that like, the wood would snap or something, but no, he just, the whole thing at once, just and oh, by the way, here's another thing too. He didn't just lift up the hotel and throw it. He lifted up the hotel, then proceeded to jump in the air and like backflip the hotel on top of Ace. All right, so that wasn't even close to like his full limit at that point there. It wasn't like he was struggling. Like, hold on, guys, I'm gonna lift up this hotel really quick. Okay, I can barely. All right, hold on, I gotta. No, he's just like, jump. Fool, so yeah, like 250,000 pounds didn't seem like that big of a deal for him at that point, pre-time skip also. Because if it was not possible, he even put on more muscle when we see him at Dressrosa. When we see him at Dressrosa, he is like, oh man, he is oiled up. He is just like jacked, like double jacked, and still doesn't have the devil fruit yet, right? And he's crazy strong at this point, and he has armament hockey. He has this armored elbow thing that he uses called Hado Elbow, and he just slams in there. I think he has another technique called Galleon Lariat, where he just takes his mighty, not even biceps at that point, just his peaks, the mountain peaks that are his arms, and he just slams right into you. We see him in Block A at the Coliseum. Now, for whatever reason, Oda made mention of everybody that fought in Blocks B, C, and D, but Block A we don't really know that much about. It was essentially there just to kind of showcase that Burgess is in this tournament, right? So I know that Luffy was, entrant number 556 in the Corradia Coliseum. And he was one of the last people, if not like the last person to sign up for it, because he was like last minute kind of entry. So that means each of the blocks, and I think it was mentioned how many there like in each block were. I think it was somewhere like 130 to 140. Okay. So if nothing else, Burgess was able to wrestle a bunch of trained gladiators and pirates and bounty hunters and some other people that were in there. I think in the anime, he defeats a giant. That was, I think, anime only. Hiruden was only the only giant that was supposed to be there in the manga. I think they just threw another giant in there just for the sake of like, wow, Burgess is really strong, which, yeah, even at that point with how ripped he was and considering his feats pre-time skip, I think you could probably defeat a run-of-the-mill giant at that point, like even without the devil fruit and with Hado. I keep thinking Hado from Bleach, Hado number 100, elbow, something like that, right? So, yeah, he was able to defeat like 140-something people, with no sweat, essentially. Not even a big deal. He was doing that with his vision impaired as well. He had a normal mask, his luchador mask, and then he had like another mask on top of it, which was just like a paper bag from a store. He just put on to be like the other masked wrestler. He's so well known as his like regular mask, so he has to put on another mask in order to hide his identity. It's crazy, right? Okay, so yeah, he does that. He defeats a bunch of people there, no problemo. The next round is the final round, the Battle Royale there, where we have Bartolomeo, Rebecca, Sabo, who is Lucy at this point, and then we have Burgess. And Diamante as well. Diamante is there as well. And it's very clear in this fight that Sabo has stronger hockey than him. He breaks the armor on his elbow. So even though he is not as ripped as Burgess is, physical strength, as in like powerlifting, isn't everything. There's also like a degree of like hockey training that you have to do as well here, okay? And so Sabo was able to kind of like one-up him on that front, then destroy the arena. Sabo gets the Maramara no Mi, consumes it. Something else, although, I will bring up involving the 4 different blocks at the Coliseum, okay? So you got to look at how each of the victors of these rounds actually won, okay? So with Burgess in Block A, he just brute strength just bulldozes through everybody, just like, wee-hoo, boom! Boom, boom, just beats the crap out of everybody. Lariats them to the ground. Oh, it's from the top rope. Bam, slams into the ground like a damn meteorite and just wipes everybody out, okay? Bartolomeo wins Block B, and he does so in the very Bartolomeo fashion of just like, I'm not going to do much. I'm just going to wait off here and just piss in the lake until everybody else is defeated, and that's basically what he does. He waits until Elisabello II uses the King Punch technique to wipe out pretty much every other combatant except for Bartolomeo, and then he just has to take out one guy, which was very easy to do with his Devil Fruit power, and that's how Bartolomeo won. So he kind of relied on just like, I'm just not going to do much. I'm just going to hang out over here with my barrier powers and then wait until there's only one person left and defeat them. Then in Block C, we of course have Luffy fighting against Qin Zhao in the final round. So Luffy was of course using his Devil Fruit ability. He was in there. He wasn't relying on anything like, I'm going to wait until they're thinned down a little bit. No, Luffy was in there brawling with the best of them. You know what I mean? And then it came down to a final battle with Qin Zhao. Luffy won. And then in the final round, it was interesting. We had another situation where Rebecca, with her fighting style, didn't really directly fight anybody. She kind of used her power to like knock them over in the water because that's like more of her pacifist nature. And then eventually you have Cavendish turning into Hakuba that wiped out the majority of everybody, who then coincidentally just fell asleep at that moment. So in the arena, in the battle, Hakuba's really strong, but in this particular instance, not so much. And then Rebecca just wins that way, kind of just by default. And I don't want to say Rebecca was useless there. I mean, she was able to like tiptoe around the big heavy gladiators. That's just a different way that she was able to fight. But ultimately, it's kind of like she won by default, because Cavendish kind of wiped them all out and just like, oh, well, she's the only one left, so she wins, right? Okay. And then we have the final round against Diamante, right? So, yeah, that was Burgess prior to eating the devil fruit that enhances your strength. So I'm going to say it's pretty simple in terms of the way it works. It would actually be really cool if it just gets progressively stronger multipliers the more that you train with the devil fruit. So let's keep it simple. Let's say you eat the Riki Riki no Mi, and it simply doubles your overall strength. It doesn't make you physically bigger. Think about, like, if you've ever seen Jackie Chan Adventures. Remember the Ox Talisman, where you have it and it kind of just makes you get super strength, but it doesn't, like, physically increase your size. It doesn't make, like, your muscles bigger or anything like that. Except I think there was one episode of Jackie Chan Adventures where that actually does happen. But consistently, it's just like, no, you have it and you just get stronger, right? You could just, like, hold things back, right? Same kind of thing with Burgess, right? He has this ability, but it doesn't turn him into like a giant, all right? He just the same basic body size he had, which was already pretty big, but he can just lift up mountains and shit now. So even if you want to say that the Riki no Mi just simply doubled his overall strength, doubled his lifting and his carrying capacity, you're still talking in the realms of like probably easily millions of pounds. Like simply at this point, I looked into how much a mountain weighs just to see, okay, the mountain on Wiener Island was definitely not like Mount Everest or anything like that, but Mount Everest in our world weighs approximately somewhere between 10 to 50 trillion pounds. Or was it trillion tons? I think it was tons. I think trillion tons is more appropriate there. So could Burgess lift up a Mount Everest? I don't know, maybe. Maybe. I think pretty much the direction Oda's going with Burgess is he is the standard anime, I'm a big tough guy that hits things really hard. And that's fine. I mean, he's definitely not going to be like a serious logical thinker in a battle. Though that would be really funny. That'd be really funny if we get to the final battle between the Straw Hats and the Blackbeard Pirates, and who would Burgess go up against? I'm thinking Jinbei would make a good one, because Jinbei focuses on, like, technique. So you could have something like that, where, yeah, Burgess is ridiculously strong, much stronger physically than Jinbei, but through the use of, like, jujitsu and things, like grapples, Burgess might be rendered completely useless. It doesn't matter how strong you are if you're grappled a particular way, and Jinbei's the kind of guy to do that stuff. Right? So, like, let's say Jinbei against Burgess. It'd be really funny if Burgess would be like, "Ooh-wee! You know what, Jinbei? I'm actually quite tactical in the terms of battle, and using my devil fruit, I can actually use a bunch of different things beyond just lifting up heavy boulders and throwing them at you." Yeah, I don't think that's the way that's going to go. I don't think Burgess is going to pull out this real tactical, like, yes, I'm like a general from Kingdom. I've laid it all out on the chessboard, Jinbei. You have no hope of defeating me now. No, his whole thing, his whole shtick is going to be, I'm going to pick up a galleon and I'm going to throw it at you. That's going to be his deal, right? That's what he's been doing up until now. So just keep picking up progressively bigger objects. Now, he's going to pick up some seriously crazy objects. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if in the final battle he just picks up an island. Somehow he manages to do it. Like, you have Valopazaro, that is the island of Hachinosu because of the island fruit. Then you have Augur, that has the ability to teleport the island to another location. So they teleport Hachinosu to the final battle. And then Burgess physically lifts up Pizarro and throws him. And then Pizarro uses his animated island body to, like, crush people. Or makes the island grow legs, because he can probably do it. He made it grow arms. I guess he can make it grow legs. Oh my god, that Oda's gonna do that shit, isn't he? That's gonna be so funny. Burgess is just gonna lift up the whole island, throw it, and it's gonna grow legs, and all of Hachinosu's gonna be running around like a damn Megazord and crushing a bunch of people. That is gonna happen now! I read about it in One Piece, Data Book Purple. It's in there. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, lifting up an island. What other absurd thing can he lift? Can he lift up the moon? Like Eneru is up there, and he's like, yes, finally, my plan has come to fruition. I will crash the moon into Blue Planet, annihilating the Blue Sea once and for all. And so the moon comes crashing down like in Majora's Mask, and there's only one man with the plan, and with them gains that's strong enough to lift it back to the space. And that's Burgess. Burgess shows up and just, ooh-wee, and just bench presses the moon. By the way, I really like it because there's the character in Rick and Morty, Mr. Poopy Butthole, and, he makes the ooh-wee kind of sound, and Burgess kind of does the same sound effect in One Piece, which was always funny to me. Ooh-wee! He just lifts up the whole damn moon. Why not? I mean, we talked about this in Van Augur's video in the Warp Fruit, but, like, it's really fascinating to think back in, like, not even antiquity. Like, let's go all the way back, right? Let's go to like Stone Age kind of shit, right? When you are just a hunter-gatherer living out there in a small group of people, maybe like 50 people in your particular like tribe or village, and you have no concept of like modern day pop culture or anything like that. Your days are filled with hunting so you have food so you do not die, okay? And making shelter and fishing. I'm not saying like they're stupid cavemen, because I honestly kind of hate that. I hate it when it's like, oh, they were just stupid cavemen throwing their shit at everybody. That's all they were back then. No, I mean, they had clothing at this point. They could make weapons. They'd figure out a lot of stuff here. They had a culture. They had religion. We could find like buried goods and things like that to indicate such a thing. But that's neither here nor there. You're living back in those days, right? And you're with a friend and you're hunting. I'm sure the idea would have come to your mind of being like, man, even if you might not be able to articulate it so well with the language that existed at the time, it would be like, man, wouldn't it be cool if, like, we were as fast as some of the animals that we're hunting, or we were faster than them, and we could just chase them down and take them out like that? Yeah, that would be cool. Wouldn't it be also really cool if we were, like, really, really strong? Like, we could lift up trees, and that would make building things way easier. It's like, oh, yeah. So in that regard, you know, super strength, super speed, immortality, like, hey, wouldn't it be great if we just didn't age and we didn't die? Because no idea how that happens, right? It'd be like, yeah, that would be cool. You know, these are probably like the proto superpowers. These are probably like the first superpowers, and then eventually when things get a little bit more complex later on and people start writing things down and telling myths and legends, you have a bunch of stories about like Heracles, for instance, like super strong demigod guy, right? Okay. And then there's other ones that like, you know, like Enkidu from the Epic of Gilgamesh and Gilgamesh, you know, all that kind of shit, right? So you got these stories, these super old stories, like some of the oldest stories that people have actually like written down as soon as like a written language kind of existed, as soon as we started having alphabets and things like that, writing this shit down. It's like, wouldn't it be cool to be really, really fucking strong? It'd be like, yeah, that would be really cool to be really, really strong. And then eventually we get, you know, to the modern era, you know, like 100 years ago, we got Superman, you know, the Man of Steel. He could leap tall buildings in a single bound, and he can run really fast, and he can lift everything up. That's Superman. And when you think about it, Superman's base abilities, I mean, I don't really read Western comics, and I don't even really DC that much, but I'm assuming there's abilities that Superman's got that like I've never even heard of that'll blow my mind. Go ahead, let them be known. Be like, oh, hey, Tekking, did you know one time Superman, I don't know, punched the ground so hard it made a parallel dimension? That probably happened at some point. But, you know, Superman's basic idea is just, like, he lifts really heavy objects. I remember seeing one thing where Superman was, like, being tested in this facility, and he's like, oh, yes, you're lifting, like, 50 quintillion tons, Superman. And he's like, oh, yes, I could go more, I think. You know, it's just like, yeah, it's, like, ridiculous levels of strength. I don't think Burgess is going to be quite on Superman's absurd level, but just kind of worth bringing up as like the idea of like what super strength is in our culture. Wow, that was over 20 minutes. We did it somehow. As for an awakening, he lifts even heavier things. Actually, as an awakening, it would be kind of nice to maybe, since it affects other things with the paramecia, what if his awakening is he gives other people super strength? Maybe not on his level, but like he maybe touches somebody or gives somebody else the ability to lift really heavy objects, and he could just basically make an army. It is coincidentally interesting because we don't know that many of like Blackbeard's like foot soldiers. Like there's a lot of pirates that have sworn allegiance to him, but outside the 10 Titanic captains, like the core crew, we don't really know about any of them, right? We know a few, but not that many. So it would be really sweet if it's like we have a bunch of random pirates that just seem like, who cares, right? And then Burgess shows up, activates his awakening, and they all have super strength all of a sudden, right? We know that like Don Krieg and Geen were on Hachinosu, so maybe they're part of Blackbeard's crew. That'd be really sweet if maybe they ended up getting devil fruits at some point, or Burgess could use his ability to make them stronger or something, you know, just an idea, just throwing it out there. But yeah, that's Burgess's strong fruit. Makes him strong, like Popeye with the spinach. All right. Anyway, that's video. Hope you all enjoyed. Those are all of Blackbeard's crew's devil fruits that we know about so far. And next up, we got the 2 Vice Admirals from Egghead. We got Bluegrass's Ride fruit, and we then have Urban's Cannon fruit, or his Barrel fruit. And then after that, we just have Biblo, the owl at Elbaf, and that was the Grow fruit. And that'll be it. So just 3 more Paramecias, and then we're done. Until Oda reveals another one, which will probably happen relatively soon. But whatever, 3 more, and then we're done. Thanks for watching, everybody. This will be Teching, signing out. Later.